Hey, you're live. Let me share a little video with you and we'll get the show underway here. All right. Coming up right now.
I'm going to do a stepwise thing. As a kid, Don Rickles all the way. Okay. I would watch anything he was in. The way girls were obsessed over like the Partridge Family or the Leif Garrett in the 70s. I was that Don Rickles was everything to me. I would get the TV guide, find out where he was on. But then I saw Stephen Wright, and that was the first time I saw somebody do something. It was so different. But then one of the things about comedians that I like are people that you really never know what they're going to say, and that was always Norm Macdonald. Was amazing.
Norm Macdonald, great. Janie, Mark, how about you?
I'm going to. Way.
All right. Let me turn this off. All right. Well, that was how I spent my weekend, going to the Greg Gutfield show. Got the coffee mug to prove it, and good time. Not the show, but the live show that he does. He was talking there about his influences, and Don Rickles was one, and then Scott Adams, Stephen Wright, and how some of the famous comedians had impacted his life. And one of the things I got out of that was, his way of learning things from people. And then he said something. He only teases people that he loves. And he talked about the show, The Five, and what made it successful, and kind of that yin yang and push back and forth between the different personalities there. And he likened it to a plane needing, resistance to get up in the air. All right. Well, this is the Top 5 News Show. If you're new here, we do 5 stories in 5 minutes. And let's get underway. I got some amazing stories to share with you, as I'm sure you can imagine.
Did you know 7 major corporations own over half of the top newspapers?
No. What do you recommend?
I like the Top 5 News.
A new way to do news, focusing on useful news, and no news that gives you the blues.
Best news. I watch a little bit of everything, but I would say probably the top 5 news.
Traffic and weather together. Why? You have that on your phone.
CNN. I wish you could just be a little more like your brother. Top 5 News.
So many people say you're the smartest person in the world. Well, yes, I watch the Top 5 News Show.
Hey, well, thanks for coming in, everybody. You're watching the fastest news update on the internet. 5 stories in 5 minutes. We give you all the news that you can use, and nothing that might make you confused, nothing that would give you the blues. Just 5 stories in 5 minutes that you can use. So if your career is already in a high gear, or if you're just sitting in a cubicle box checking your stocks, just buying time, waiting to say game over to the work game, or anywhere in between, I'd like to share with you a news show with a very practical name. And once you watch it, you'll never be the same. It's the Top 5 News. Tonight's program, we have for you the LA update, the LA mayoral race. We have Trump and the Meet the Press interview, where he stormed out of the interview, literally dropped the mic and stepped on it. And then we have the WWDC, a tech update with Siri and AI, and a SpaceX IPO, all in 5 minutes, starting right now. So this is sort of the weirdest story in Los Angeles, California. You know, you have um, a race there where, let me just show you this short clip if I can, where you have one of the mayoral candidates here. Give you her, show you her. Yeah, here we go. Here's a little excerpt from her. Can you see my screen here?
And then came the MAGA machine. They saw an opportunity in Los Angeles to buy a foothold in our beautiful city to advance a dark agenda. They poured money in from all over the country. They brought the right-wing media, the political ecosystem to bear, and attempted to infuse our city with hate, with fear, and with cruelty.
Yeah, so after this was her speech where she, you know, indicated that MAGA was going to bring the hate and the fear into Los Angeles, and then she basically would go on to say, you know, she was sorry she didn't win because she came in third place, and they were racing for 2 spots. Karen Bass had the top spot, and Spencer Pratt had the second spot. Well, after the polls closed, something very unusual happened, and let me see if I can show you this here. Yeah, here we go. Let's see here. Share. So this is from the who's this by? The End Wokeness account captured this. These are the numbers. You have to fact check me on this. After the election day, on the election day, at the close of the election, the can you guys hear me there? Yeah. The after the election, the numbers, where did I go? Here we go. The numbers were, as you can see on the screen, so it was Bass, Pratt, Raman. Okay, that was the woman you just saw speaking. And then after the polls had closed in Los Angeles, the mail-ins came in, and the woman that you just saw on your screen, her percentage or her increase in the polls counting the mail-in votes was an increase of 17%, whereas Bass decreased 3%, and the fellow Spencer Pratt, the other candidate, he dropped 9% from the mail-in ballots. Is this true? Somebody tell me this is fake news, because if this is true, there's just no possible way in the world. I'm not a rocket scientist like Elon, but there's no way in the world that this is possible for those numbers to come out like that. You with me on the math? It's unbelievable. But anyway, it's yeah, let me close this down so I can talk to you. Very unusual ending to that race, and they're still counting the votes. You know, it takes them a month or whatever it is to get all the votes counted there. And I won't tell you what to think, but I'm going to ask you some questions in a minute about it. But let me go on to the second story, and then we're going to come back to this. So next story is Donald Trump interviewed on the Meet the Press show, and he basically, you know that saying, drop the mic? Well, he dropped the mic and he stepped on it. I don't know if he stepped on it on purpose, but he got in kind of an argument with the interviewer, and stormed out, telling her basically that the election in LA was rigged. Okay, and made some other complaints about the fake news and the different media outlets that were fake, and name some names. But so then I just, when you combine those two stories, these would be the questions I would ask you. So, and then if you look across the internet, you see a lot of million-person followers with really questioning the election. And blessed that we have free speech to do that now, because remember, we couldn't even talk about it in the years gone by. But it's good that free speech is sort of seeming to make a renaissance. But I think it should be okay to question it, especially under these extraordinary circumstances. And so let me ask you, so Donald Trump won the majority vote. And what percentage of his followers do you think are still with him? You know what I mean? They still agree with, they're still on board. And I would venture to say it probably can't vary by more than 5 or 10%. You could probably have as much as 10% of people who did not vote for him who now want to. And you could probably have 5 or 10% of the people who voted for him who are now not Donald Trumpers. And your math may be different, but I think that's probably a real thing. So if you took the 50% and you deducted the 10% and got to 40%, 40% of Americans still side with Donald Trump. And so the person that they side with says that the elections are rigged. And there's a possibility 40% of people believe that. That's probably a high number, but what is the acceptable percentage of people thinking it's a rigged election? And what number do you think it is, right? And is that an acceptable number? Let me take the Democrat and Republican thing out of it. If you had a vested interest, you had a candidate in that mayoral race, or let's just take it out of that city and take it national. If you had a candidate running for office for the president and your team won, would you be cool if 40% of the other team felt like the election was rigged? Yes or no? And let's say it was the other way around. If your team won and the other team felt it was rigged, but what if your team was the winner? Did you still want all those people to think the election is rigged? Because I wouldn't. I would want the people to believe that I beat them, fair and square in an election. And I'm not sure that we have that with a huge percentage of the population, a very large percentage. And that, when you combine with the 83% of people who want the SAVE Act passed, presents an interesting scenario facing our country right now about how we can ensure our elections are secure so that both parties feel like it was a fair fight, And so that's the thoughts on that. And I try to bring you upbeat, encouraging, positive news, but it's news you need to know, and we need to do something about it. I can't think of anything less positive than having our elections be crooked, which I'm not saying that they are, but I'm saying that the sitting president of the United States believes that LA race was crooked, and I believe that millions of his followers think that. And it seems like, based on the numbers, if the numbers are right, it's it's just an incredible statistical error, isn't it? You decide. Story number 2 tonight: Apple Worldwide Developers Conference going on right now in Cupertino. The big focus is the major overhaul of Siri with better personal context and on-device AI, plus fresh Apple Intelligence features on the iOS 27. So looking forward to that. A lot of iPhone users. Tim Cook opened by saying the company is delivering powerful tools to let people do extraordinary things. No huge hardware reveals are expected, but it's all about the software smarts, and we'll have more details after the keynote and in tomorrow's stories. Story number 1 today, we count down from 5 to 1. SpaceX IPO countdown is on. Elon Musk appeared with Jamie Dimon at a big event, JP Morgan headquarters. The IPO countdown is on. The company's set to go public this Friday at a staggering $1.8 trillion in valuation. It could be the largest IPO in history. They just locked in a massive $30 billion multi-year AI compute deal with Google and a $110,000 NVIDIA GPU. Elon Musk could become the richest, the world's first trillionaire on paper. I kind of like that name, Trilly. You like that nickname for him? Trilly, short for trillionaire. If he doesn't like it, I don't like it. I don't like to give nicknames to anybody, but like Greg Gutfield said, I only tease those who I love. But what Trilly? I think it's a good little nickname if he likes it. The trillionaire, first trillionaire. That's pretty good. Going to be pretty cool. There'll be a trillionaire on paper from his SpaceX stake alone. Wall Street split on the price, but the roadshow is oversubscribed, and the retail investors are getting a big slice. That's your top 5 news for today, Monday, June 8th. Quick, straight to the point, and that's how we do it here. So hit the subscribe button, stick around. Weekdays we'll be here at 5 o'clock, and I'll see you here tomorrow for 5 more stories. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. See you tomorrow. And as the great Paul Harvey would say, good day.